World War III update. If you haven't figured it out yet, we're about to enter into a whole new chapter of escalation on the Eastern European front. I first want to, when any flashbulb event like this happens, you always have to look at the context. You always have to look at what happened in the days leading up to it. Here's what happened. We had the Polish president go and meet with Donald Trump just a few days ago, okay? That only happens for a reason, all right? This is a person who hasn't been making an appearance and was not in league with all of the leaders who recently visited with Trump. So there's a reason why this is happening right now. It's because things really are escalating. And everything that I've warned people about is happening. Okay? It's happening, guys. It's actually worse, much worse than I thought. If you don't know what's going on, there was a massive incursion of Russian drones into Polish airspace, and this was not an accident. This was not a spoof, and I don't even think it was a false flag. I'll tell you the reasons why in just a moment. 2 months ago, Donald Trump said that he was giving Russia 50 days. And that ultimatum concluded, or was originally supposed to conclude right about now. Now, between then and now, we've had different things, like an Alaskan summit, which of course was preceded by an uptick in Russian drone strikes on Ukraine, which tells you everything you need to know about how that went. But interestingly, everything is coinciding. Now, the question has always been, why September? Recall, since the get-go, I've been saying that there's something about September that has everybody spooked. There are these exercises that are supposed to be taking place, SEPAD exercises, on the 11th, in the next few days, this weekend. They're supposed to start, if they haven't already started, with Russia and Belarus. Many had suspected that this could be, in fact, a exercise disguised as an exercise, and it was going to be real world. It was going to be the beginning of another big aero fall offensive on the part of the Russians, perhaps coming into the north, and Belarus entering into the conflict. Of course, Belarus is going to be handling Orezhnik nuclear-capable, hypersonic, intermediate-range ballistic missiles at this point in time. So all of this seems to be coinciding perfectly. You have Poland moving assets towards the border to conduct their own exercise in the run-up to this. Now, Poland has been militarizing for years. They started almost 18 months ago, putting up all the signage and effectively setting the groundwork for the mass militarization and mobilization of their country for periods like this. So that this is all happening right now, right after the president of Poland met with Donald Trump, should be of no surprise to people. What is happening is that everything that Donald Trump is telling you about his commitment to end this war is bullshit, okay? It is 100% bullshit. The United States cannot end this war. The only reason why Russia would be incentivized to do what they did is a potential reconnaissance by fire in which they're trying to test the defenses and the resolve of NATO, test the boundaries, so to speak. But it could also be to put them on notice that they know that NATO is about to do something, be it the imposition of a no-fly zone, be it a unilateral, because it wouldn't be agreed to by the Russians. NATO keeps talking about how we've almost finalized an agreement to put troops and in what capacity the United States is going to commit to, and understand that the Russians don't agree with any of this. Okay, none of it. So I suspect that Russia is attempting to intercede and throw the first punch because they know what's coming. They know that an escalation of the conflict is impending, and in a classic fashion, if you know a fight is coming, you throw the first punch. So I suspect that this is to potentially not only do a reconnaissance by force, reconnaissance by fire, in which they fly the drones into their airspace and force NATO to activate their radars and things of that nature, scramble the jets, And of course, everybody had jets up there in this massive incursion into Polish airspace. I believe, I'm not sure what the final number was, but it was well over a dozen drones, and a couple were taken down. So in doing that, of course, they had to expose themselves to a certain degree. Now, Russia would not risk doing this if negotiations were going well. Okay, that would not happen. I don't think that the Russians have any interest in taking over Poland per se, but it's very likely that they are anticipating that Poland and NATO, through the Polish battering ram now, are about to do something that might flip the table in that region, and that they are trying to interdict that to some degree. Now, Poland's deputy defense minister has stated that all security services have been placed on a high state of alert. They were closing airports with an operation underway to neutralize intruders. Now, it's important to remember that Poland is very much a NATO state. And it's interesting to note that Article 4 or 5 is not being introduced. Obviously, Article 4 would precede Article 5. And in many ways, the invocation of Article 4 is almost a guarantee that they go to Article 5, which is why they're very reluctant to do it. All right? The question is, if we go in that direction, what will the Russian response truly be? Why was there a novel doomsday broadcast on the Russian doomsday radio shortwave station yesterday? What was that all about? You know, like, these things are all related, is what I'm saying. And sometimes in the flurry of news, we forget what just came a few days ago. Now, the military allegedly is in constant contact with the president, who's currently in an emergency meeting right now, the Polish president, that is, in an emergency meeting. So I have a sneaking suspicion that this is the beginning of something, all right? I'm not sure what. It is likely going to dissipate in the short term, maybe not. But if it does, just know that this is the precedent for something. They told 8.7 million people tonight to shelter in place, which constituted nearly a quarter of Poland's population. So this was serious. This was unlike anything that we had ever seen up until this point in the conflict. There was the S-300 fiasco a couple of years ago where Ukraine fired an errant S-300. Well, so they say it was errant. Some people say it was an attempt at a false flag, which of course took the lives of, I think, a couple Polish citizens. And this is bigger than that, because this is clearly intentional. I don't think this was a hack. I don't think this was a spoof. I think the Russians did this on purpose, if I'm being brutally honest. They have been just firing massive amounts of drones. Now, could it be that they're trying to circumvent some form of air defense that exists in Ukraine? And this is part of the reason why they routed these drones through Poland, which I don't think had the intention of striking Poland. But the fact that they're leveraging and going into Polish airspace so seemingly haphazardly indicates that this was somewhat of a provocation, which is not to say that they themselves weren't provoked, that they likely have intelligence that shit's about to go down, and that is why they did what they did tonight. All right? So, on the orders of the operational commander of the Polish armed forces, weapons have been deployed, and services are actively working to locate all the downed objects currently in Poland. There are many videos circulating with respect to planes flying overhead. Apparently, there's some images of, drones on fire that were brought down. But according to the operational command of Poland, they say, and they made this ex post, attention, during today's attack of the Russian Federation carrying out strikes on objects located on the territory of Ukraine, our airspace has repeatedly been violated by drone-type objects. The operation aimed at identifying and neutralizing objects is still underway. I think it's now concluded at the time of making this video. On the instructions of the operational commander of the RSZ, weapons were used and the services are underway to find the downed objects. We emphasize that the Army operation is still ongoing and we urge you to stay at home. The most endangered regions of places that I cannot pronounce, so I will not try to. It's late. The operational command of the RSC monitors the current situation, and subordinate forces and means remain fully ready to respond. So this is the beginning. Okay, this is the beginning of the spillover. This is the beginning of the Polish involvement in the war. So we're just going to have to see where this goes. I'm starting to suspect that the movement in gold was not a coincidence. Guys, I really don't have much more to contribute with respect to this specific issue at this point in time, but just know whenever something like this happens, just go back through the archives, and there's likely some breadcrumbs. And at this point in time, I'm just I'm continuing to accelerate my preparedness. Everything is homestead, homestead, homestead. As some of you know, I'm getting out of the distribution with CanadianPreparedness.com. I just have this feeling that it's the time right now is to get out of the business. It's just an intuition of mine for a variety of reasons. I made a video over on the Canadian Prepper channel tonight. Anyways, we're doing a liquidation, 25% off store-wide, so go capitalize on it. Everything must go, okay? 25% off. You're never going to find deals like this. This is the most rugged, bomb-proof survival gear that is all built to get you through the hardest of situations. Not that rinky-dink white label AliExpress bullshit that's going to break the first time you go to use it. This is stuff that me and my family rely on for our security, safety, and survival. So use the discount code 25closing at the checkout. I think it'll pop up when you go to the webpage anyways. Capitalize on this because this is it. All right. Now, unfortunately, we can't ship to the U.S. anymore for reasons that I'm not going to get into, primarily tariff related. But that's another story altogether. That's not the main reason why we're closing the store. Go watch that video at Canadian Prepper. Anyways, I got to go because tomorrow we got a big video shoot going on, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about a lot of things despite what is going on here. But just know that this is it. This is not nothing. This is something. Talk to you soon.